When creating a knife-only class, it should be kept in mind that there are actually two attachments that can speed up your melee attack. Firstly, the tactical knife, and second, akimbo, on the USP. Only on the USP. In fact, it actually has a faster startup than the tactical knife, meaning it has the fastest melee speed in the game. Modern Warfare 2 is full of little inconsistencies just like this one. Whether they're glitches, oversights, or actually intended is anyone's guess, and the answer is likely different for each weapon. However, what information I could find was scattered across old forums, wiki articles, and Xbox Ahoy videos, and quite often contradictory. Thus, I took my curiosity to the game itself, and MW2 is pretty whack. Like, here, did you know that using the silencer on the MG4, M240, and M9 will give you the typical damage and range reduction, but fail to hide you on the minimap? For the most part, these additional effects are negligible enough that most aren't going to notice them, but can still be impactful enough that you should be mindful of their existence when creating classes. For example, did you know the extended magazine on the P90 actually makes your sprint 3 seconds longer? It might not sound like a lot, but in reality almost doubles your time sprinting. Of course, you'll still reach your destination slower than someone running marathon, but favoring the extended mag opens up that first slot to some less common options. I have an Extendo P90 class that sees quite frequent use, and I'm not actually sure if it's worth trading marathon for something different, but having the attachment pick up the slack is a novel concept to me, and the faster weapon handling sleight of hand grants is always appreciated, but maybe not entirely necessary on an already speedy SMG. Instead, Scavenger is my preference due to the additional ammo and my inability to aim. If you'd rather poor accuracy be intrinsic to the weapon instead of your own impotence, look no further than the Desert Eagle. It's already one of the worst weapons in the game due to its absurd recoil, and in a cruel twist of fate, also has misaligned iron sights. It's something I've just sort of grown accustomed to, and because the other sidearms are entirely superior options, I rarely use the Deagle anymore. Even when I do, it's akimbo. Instead of addressing the problem, I just send so much lead down range it doesn't really matter anymore. As it turns out, there actually is a fix. The tactical knife. For some reason, these iron sights are aligned correctly, so at least the tac knife is useful for something. Of course, being the Desert Eagle, you're not going to be lining up many shots after the first, so just pick akimbo. Looking for something less significant than a slightly reoriented view model? Look no further than the MG4. When equipping the FMJ attachment, the weapon title in-game will read Explosive Rounds. It doesn't grant splash damage or additional attack power. In fact, it performs exactly the same as FMJ. It's simply a typo. The grip is typically an extremely useful attachment that provides a noticeable reduction to recoil from fully automatic fire. It's a mainstay on any LMG class. However, on the Spaz 12, it's entirely useless. Being pump action, by the time you've chambered another round, the recoil you've suffered will have reset. The function of the weapon sidesteps the purpose of the attachment, leaving it with absolutely no effect. That said, all the other shotguns the grip is available on are either semi or fully automatic, meaning the attachment has a tangible, if slightly underwhelming effect. Let's be honest, recoil was never the problem shotguns had, though it does have one more trait you might not expect, speeding up the AA-12's draw speed. How neat is that?
That's pretty neat.
Almost every weapon has access to some amount of 4 sights: the red dot, holographic, ACOG, and thermal. But did you know that 3 weapons have unique optics? Using the ACOG scope on the LSW leaves you with a sight reminiscent of the L96 ACOG in Black Ops. The TAR and F2000 use their own proprietary optics that are, for some reason, immune to EMPs. The 4th and final unique attachment comes in the form of the AK-47's grenade launcher. Where every other assault rifle sports the M203, the AK adorns the Soviet GP-25, whose only mechanical differences are a faster switch time and longer reloads. The AK is actually a unique case in that the weapon itself has a hidden stat. Equipping any attachment other than ACOG gives the weapon idle sway, even FMJ, an attachment that leaves the weapon visually identical to the base gun. Thus, I typically set up my AK-47 class with no attachments. It's one of those things you'll only ever notice when someone points it out to you, but once you do, you'll never unsee it, so Sorry about that. And if you're wondering how ACOG works, the answer is not well. The additional zoom magnifies the AK's naturally high recoil. The holographic sight more than makes up for its lack of unique variations by being the attachment with by far the most hidden traits, each of them significant enough to be a go-to pick. Back on the AK-47, the holo actually gives the weapon increased bullet penetration, the same you'd see with FMJ. Think of the holographic sight as a poor man's bling, opening up your first perk slot to something else, like sleight of hand. On the M16, it decreases recoil, making it easier to land all 3 shots. The holographic sight is, hands down, the best attachment on the weapon. If you want to run something like extended mags or a silencer, use bling. The foggiest of details are found with the Spaz 12, where the optics supposedly either increases range or tightens the spread, or both, maybe? I've heard this rumor circulating around for almost a decade at this point, and in that time I've seen no actual evidence of it being true. In my extremely preliminary testing, I couldn't find any difference between the holographic and the base Spaz. Though I did find a neat glitch where if you have a Spaz with a holo sight and another with extended mags, firing the holo Spaz will pull from the extended Spaz's magazine. You will literally never see this situation in an actual game. Now, even if my testing was incorrect, which, to be honest, isn't that unlikely, I'd still prefer to pick the extended magazine for my Spaz class. Range has never been an issue. Besides, I prefer to use Marathon, and extended mag will keep me from suffering through the reload as long as possible. Lastly, when used on the FAL, an additional and extremely easy to measure 5 damage per shot is granted, turning the weapon into a consistent 2-shot kill at any range and a 1-shot headshot up close. The holographic sight is simply a must-use on the FAL. In dark hallways under hushed tones, you'll hear whispers of the FAL and its Master Key shotgun attachment. For years, I've heard rumors that when equipping the FAL with the Master Key, it has longer range than other assault rifles. However, in my, again, extremely preliminary testing, this doesn't seem to be the case. The FAL shotgun seems to have the exact same range as all the other Master Key attachments. However, what I did learn is that the secondary shotguns are outranged by the underslung alternative by an absurd degree. You can land shots halfway across high-rise, something the Spaz 12 can't even accomplish, making the attachment an absolute monster in hardcore mode. If you can still find a lobby. Though in core game modes the attachment simply does too little damage to be considered useful compared to its secondary contemporaries. Though, as far as underslung attachments go, I'd rather deal with this than the... Hey, how's it going? Thanks for watching. I'm sure if you're a subscriber, a video on a 10-year-old Call of Duty game's attachments wasn't what you were really hoping for. Regardless, I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you're not a subscriber and you just really wanted to know what the holographic sight does, consider liking or subscribing, I guess. If you really dig this kind of content, well, drop a comment. Let me know. If you'd rather me get back to my old video gamey type stuff, well, don't fret. Chances are I'll be back to it pretty soon. But man, I've really been enjoying Modern Warfare 2. I've probably got another video or 2 left in me. Either way, thanks for watching.